Okay. Bismillah min ash-shaytan rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Rabbi ishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome all of you for this Hyperflex, Cisco Hyperflex Hyperconverged Infrastructure Introduction Session. The agenda for today is just to introduce you what is hyperconverged infrastructure and how Cisco Hyperflex is positioned in that technology. So we'll also have some kind of comparison with other technology as well. Okay, what is there in the current? What are the other products available in the market? We'll also see that as a comparison. So we'll start now with Hyperflex. I'm using the Cisco Live slides because that has most of the information. Okay. Once we have covered this introduction, maybe I'm trying to arrange for the lab. And it's there available in the D Cloud. You can also book. I will also send you the link for to book the lab if you want, where you can practice. You can bring up the entire node as a cluster and do some configuration on the VMware, cloning and mirroring, how the data is stored. All those things you can practice in the D Cloud. Okay. So that we can do it later on. Once you understood the concept, understood the technology, then you can inshallah try to have another session for you to understand how it works in an hands-on experience. Okay. So let us start with the hyperconvergence. So what is hyperconvergence? We know that over the last 3 decades, 3 to 4 decades, we have evolved a lot in terms of computing industry. Started with mainframe, then mini computer, and 1980s we have client server. The 1990 we had distributed computing, then web in 2000. Then we have 2010 we have converged infrastructure. Almost 2000 to 2010 they have introduced already server virtualization. Then 2010 converged infrastructure, then storage virtualization, and today we are in hyper-converged infrastructure. And also we are moving towards most of software-defined. You already know about networking. So what's going to be in the future is everything is based on the software-defined network, software-defined storage, and software-defined computing. So that's how it's going to be. So hyper-converged infrastructure comes into that, as evolution of technology, evolution of the market demand. So this technology has come to fill up the gap and to be a solution for the market demand. We'll see how it is. What's happening with hyper-converged infrastructure? So based on the 4 main necessities like economics, people don't want to now, everywhere you have issues with the finance, right? If you go for and ask for a budget, what we immediately get an answer from the finance department or CFO or even the IT director says, we have restricted budget. So customer has become more cautious about investing the amount, how much they want to invest and whether it is worth and what is the return on investment. Okay. So they want to see the amount they are spending is used in a more appropriate way. Okay. So for that, they want to start with something, what is required, then grow slowly. Now, back in 3 years back, if somebody would have come and sold you Nexus 7K, let us say, what they would have told you? Can you tell anyone? Nexus 7K. They will say this is the future, VDC, and this is how it's going to be. Next 10 years, this is going to be a roadmap. And they would have told a lot about Nexus 7K because the technology and VDC, all those stuff. So when they are introducing any new technology, they always think that it is going to be there for next 10 years. But the truth is, within 1-2 years, things change drastically. So the investment I have made 1 year, 2 years back, now I have to think back and relook at it. You know, I would feel that only I'm using 30%, maybe 20% I may use, 50% I will never use. So now the customers have become more aware about what's happening in the IT. So they want to make sure that they only invest what is required and then grow as the requirement comes. So pay as you grow. Then simplicity in growing. So you want to add a compute, you want to add a network, you want to add storage. So what's happening? We used to buy separate devices, am I right? Separate network, maybe storage. I need to go with EMC or Dell or HP, IBM, NetApp. Then same way computing, you have to go with any of the blade infrastructure. So every time when I have a bottleneck, when I'm growing in my IT industry, when I IT need, what's happening then? I need to also scale myself in all these 3 different areas, which is mainly, as I told, computing, network, storage. So that's always the bottleneck. Sometimes, people get why I have to, whenever any requirement comes, this becomes sometimes a bottleneck in order to get it approved and deploy. Then the last one is simplicity in deployment. Okay. So once you have storage separately, network and computing and virtualization, everything is managed separately. Then when you want to deploy, you have to go through their tools separately. So there is no single console where you can use that one to deploy complete network, storage, and compute. So hyperconverged infrastructure also comes from the demand that the customer is looking in terms of simplicity in deployment. They want to pay as they grow and simplicity in growing. And the last point is the operation. Single support, unified management. If I have any issues, I don't want to call 3 different vendors, or I don't want to have 3 different RMAs or warranty and all those stuff. I have one single window where I can go and ask for, get support for my operations. So these are the main reasons which has helped hyperconverged infrastructure to evolve. So what are the main components? You have nodes, which are normal servers, along with the fabric interconnect. How many of you worked on Cisco UCS? Can you rise or type? Yes, no? Can you type in the chat box? How many of you have worked in Cisco UCS? Little bit, great. Then only 2. Any blade servers? How many of you worked in blade servers? Yes. Okay, there was no idea. Okay, yes. Okay, how many of you worked on fabric interconnect? When you are working in Cisco UCS, you also have a fabric interconnect switch. So great. So if you already worked on Cisco UCS server, whether it's a rack mounted server or blade server, C220, 240 or 5000 series, UCS 5000 series, and along with fabric interconnect 6000 series fabric interconnect, then we are using the same hardware. If you have already used it, then you don't have to worry. You are going to use the same infrastructure. Okay, nothing new. So what is added on top is a hypervisor and a new software, which is hyperconverged software. That's what is added on top of it. So you consider this like any Dell server. Okay, the node is something like a Dell server or HP server, one RU rack mounted, and you have a high uh, bandwidth switch or high capacity switch with 10 gig uplink. It could be Dell, it could be Juniper, it could be Foundry, Extreme, anything. So if you're not worked in Cisco, imagine that you worked any of a rack mounted server along with the top of the rack switch, 10 gig. So it's the same thing. The same infrastructure we are going to use here. Okay. But on top of it, we are adding what? As usual, you all worked, and most of you would have worked on VMware, which is basically based on ESXi. And that's going to be used as a hypervisor. Then on top of it, you are running application on VMs, host and applications you are running on top of hypervisor. So this is the traditional way how we are doing it. But what's happening in hyperconverged infrastructure? All of them will appear as one node instead of 4 ESXi. If you're installing in 4 nodes, all of them are different ESXi. Am I right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ESXi servers running. Then you have to use VMware, VDS switch, vSwitch, all those things to intercommunicate. Those people who have worked on vSphere, they know about it, what I'm talking. But other than that, the physical server itself looks separate. Same way the storage is separate. Am I right? They are not common for all. There will be a separate component. There will be common for all. It will be shared. Storage will be shared. But at the end of the day, it is not residing within the server itself. It will be outside the server. So in hyperconverged infrastructure, you don't have anything separate. The network, the compute, and storage, virtualization, everything in the same system. There is a node and then node interconnect. That's it. Then you cluster all of them together to form one cluster. Okay. So let us talk about Cisco HyperFlex System HX series. So they have different product. If you are going for remote office, they have a UCS mini series. We are mainstream computing, next generation, 4th generation UCS servers. And Cisco, how many of you worked on FlexPod or vBlock? Have you worked on FlexPod? Have you heard about FlexPod?
I heard about vBlock, but still I didn't get an opportunity to work on vBlock. It's a free
FlexPod.
company.
Yeah. Have you heard about FlexPod? No. Okay. So what they have done, vBlock is Cisco Nexus switch, Cisco UCS server, then EMC storage, then VMware ESXi hypervisor, then vCenter to run your VMwares, and then entire thing is managed using UCS director. So what they did, they built in one rack, okay, separate components. UCS as a server, Cisco UCS as a server, compute power you get, okay. Then Nexus 9000 or 5000 series switches for 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig network capacity on the top of the rack. So you have network capacity, computing capacity. For the storage, they went with EMC. Okay, so storage is there. And then for hypervisor, they've used VMware Hyper ESXi. And top of it, they run vSphere. So in order to manage the entire system, provision and use as a private cloud, they use Cisco UCS Director for orchestration. So this is the one single point of interface for the user through which you access the compute, network, storage, everything through one interface. But what is it? Same way they had FlexPod. FlexPod is with, instead of using EMC storage, you will be using NetApp. So the infrastructure is same. Instead of EMC, some customer want to say, I am more familiar with NetApp. I want to use NetApp as a storage. So that's called FlexPod. Same way, the storage can be replaced by any vendor, Hitachi, IBM, anyone, and you name it differently. So that is called converged infrastructure. What is converged infrastructure? It comes as a pre-built rack delivered to your data center, okay, which is Cisco validated design, which has compute, network, storage, hypervisor, and VMware, vSphere, on top of it, the cloud orchestration, a private entire management using UCS Director. So this is one box you can see here. You see this? This is one rack. So based on the demand, based on the need, you can start. And whenever you are having problem with the storage, you want to add, only buy EMC extra and add it. If you have a problem with the compute, what do? You add another blade in UCS. Am I right? You buy one M20 blade and then add it to the chassis. Okay? So that's how it works. So it is called converged infrastructure. That is what the industry was using. If you look at last year, the last 3 years, this is very dominant. vBlocks, FlexPod, and other offerings from other vendors are very dominant in the market for converged infrastructure. Okay. But what is hyper-converged infrastructure? Now I don't have anything like EMC storage. I don't have something like a separate system for management. So I bring one UCS system, UCS server, and it has got compute power. Then I add storage in the same UCS, and then I install ESXi and run the hyper-converged infrastructure software and bundle them together as a cluster. So the storage become common for all of us. So if we want to go with the cloud infrastructure, then they use a big infrastructure like C series and UCS C3000. So this is all about the platform which Cisco is using. Okay, complete hyperconverged. What is that? Unified compute and network infrastructure. All right. So integrated high performance network fabric, and also you have a programmable automation of all hardware, storage, compute, network. Everything is managed through a single platform. And what is new from converged infrastructure and hyper converged infrastructure is this piece of element, which is called HX data platform, Cisco HyperFlex data platform. So this is where this is the software or hypervisor which will be installed in the system, which will make sure I have 5 servers, and each server, let us say, have 10 terabytes or 12 terabytes of storage. So we have 5, how many it is? Almost 60 terabytes. Am I right? 60 terabytes in 5 different servers. This piece of software makes them, all of them as one common data platform, as a one network file system, NFS. So 60 terabyte is available for you from ESXi site. So if you want to mount any through any host you want to run, you configure a data store with 10 terabytes, 20 terabytes, and the data store will be taken from the common one pool of disk. It's a bunch of disks with 60 terabytes with NFS file system. So you understood the difference now? The main difference here is how the storage is shared across those 5 systems. Then you can integrate with your Cisco HCI or Cisco One Enterprise Cloud Suite, for the orchestration and management. So you all know about service profile, am I right? We have worked in UCS. What service profile comes? It is a stateless element management. For example, I want to say this is my storage requirement, 10 terabytes. And network, I want 4 interfaces with 1 gig, and I need 8 VLANs, for example, and I want to pass trunk in those interfaces. Then server profile, I will say how much power is, how much CPU you require, what is the computing power you need. So these are the policies you create as a template and then apply it to the UCS in the service profile. So when one blade fails, the service profile will be seamlessly moved to another blade. So that's how UCS service profile works. If you're not if you're not understood. So the best example is like your SIM card. If you put in Nokia, if you put in Samsung, if you put in iPhone, the SIM card feature is same. Am I right? It's going to carry your name, your number, your identity. Maybe some of your contacts will be there in the SIM. Same way, service profile is same. Based on the blade, based on the hardware you use, it's going to fit into that. That's what service profile is. So with Hyperflex, how it's going to be, you have Hyperflex nodes. You see here, there are going to be mainly 4 different networks. One is for the management. Okay, another one is for the storage. Because the storage of data, there will be one virtual switch, which will be shared across all these 5 nodes, so that using this virtual switch, the hard disks are shared. So you can't hear VLAN, let us say 1000 or 1020. This VLAN 1020 is used across these 5 nodes for sharing the data disk. Okay, it could be HD or it could be SSD. Okay, it could be solid state drive or it's a spinning hard disk drive. So this is a virtual switch which is used to send data across all the 5 nodes. Then management, this is mainly for managing the system. Then you have for VM network. Then if you want to do vMotion across from one system to another system, you want to move VM from one node to another node, then the vSwitch vMotion will be helpful. So this is how it works. So you have 4 main component switches, network infrastructure within Hyperflex. One is management, another one is for storage, another one is for VM network, another one for vMotion. Right. So if you already integrate with ACI, if you have a data center which has ACI infrastructure, then it seamlessly integrates with your SDN, software defined network. I'm not going to go in detail about that. Okay. So let us talk about the offerings. Cisco has something called a small node, but minimum you have to have 3 nodes as one cluster. Then each hybrid node has got 2 SSD. The SSD is nothing but your like a memory stick, am I right? It is very fast and it has got capacity also. You can have more, am I right? So the nowadays it's coming more, but it's costly. So SSD is very fast. When you want high IOPS, like read write you want, then normally they use SSD. You want to have large storage, then use hard disk drive, HDD. Okay. So in the hybrid node, they have 2 SSDs and 6 hard disks. So each hard disk is almost 1.2 terabytes. So it's almost 7.2 terabytes. You can combine together in one node. So into 3 nodes, it's almost, you can say 22 terabytes. If you combine 3 nodes as one cluster. Okay. You can go up to minimum 3, up to maximum 8, but I think right now they support 6. So future may have 8. So 8 means 8 into 7.2. So it's almost, you can have 50 terabytes of storage. Okay. Then you can also have the higher version, which is having 23 1.2 terabytes. So if you want more capacity, you can go up to like 100 terabytes, 200 terabytes you want to go, you can use different nodes. Fine. At the end of the day, you can use Cisco UCS Director to manage everything. And another feature is you can also use VMware vCenter. You all aware about VMware vCenter, right? You're used for managing the ESXi, doing all the VMware, mainly you use vCenter. It comes as a HX plugin. So you can download a plugin and install on a vCenter. So the entire Hyperflex you can manage through vCenter as a single point. Like if you have worked on NSX, you can use vCenter to manage NSX. All right. The same way, you can use vCenter to manage Hyperflex. So let us quickly look into some of the architecture, how it works. They have main thing is they have a distributed file system. Okay, all the local districts will be combined and appear as one pool of disks. And when the data is written, this is how it is written. When the data comes, there is a separate model called controller VM. Like normally you have virtual machine for your host. Am I right? So for the Hyperflex, you will have a controller VM. They call CVM. This is the VM. This is the software, piece of software which sits in your ESXi and make sure that the data when it comes, it goes across multiple nodes. So whenever you want to write a data, first it is intercepted by the IOSer. As the next slide, it is there.
Sir?
Yeah. Yes? Yeah.
Sir, normally we have a RAID and all, RAID 5 and all kind of mechanism for writing the data in the disk.
Yeah.
Yes. What kind of mechanism we have here?
Yeah, I will explain. Okay. I will explain. A very good question. I will explain that point. So now try to understand how the data is written. When the data is coming from your host through the VM, you are writing on the disk. Am I right? So instead of VM writing through the hypervisor to the disk, the VM will go through a controller VM. Okay. The controller VM will split the data into multiple chunks, maybe like one data into 10 or 3, and then write across 3 nodes. So it is not written in same data will be written into 3 different nodes. Okay. So that is done by the controller VM. So what's happening? There is a factor called replication factor. So when you are configuring, you have to choose when I am storing any data, the data should be replicated how many times? If you say like I want to store the data 3 times, means it will be written in one node and the same data also will be written in another 2 nodes. It means 3 replication factor. Something related like write. You understood, Rafiq, now? So it's similar to write. Here it is called replication factor, RF factor. So when you say RF factor 2, it will be written in 2 nodes. The same data will be written in 2 nodes. If you say RF factor 3, the same data will be written, for example, node number 1, 2, 3. So all these 3 nodes, same data will be written. So what happens if this node fails or if this hard disk fails, the data is still available in the other 2 nodes. And other software like Nutanix or VMware or vSAN from VMware, how they do, they write it in one node and then they copy the data into other nodes. The same data is copied in other nodes. But in Cisco Hyperflex, they have something called IOvisor. There is something called IOvisor. This is a piece of software, okay, which makes sure that the data is written, split and written into all the nodes simultaneously. So it is not that it is written in a disk and then copied. Rather, it will be split and multiplied and copied into multiple disks, multiple nodes. So that is the main difference. So when you are doing vMotion, I'm not bothered about I need to move the data because data is already available in other nodes. So there will be very less time for when you are doing vMotion or DRS even, it will be very fast with Hyperflex. So the controller VM has direct access to all the disk, SSDs or hard disk, whatever, HDD, whatever you are going to have. And the VAI is a plugin which is used for snapshot and cloning. Normally, snapshot and cloning is done using VMware, right? If you go to VM, there is option snapshot this VM. It will do at particular point of time, take a snapshot like a pointer, right? Also, if you want to clone, you want to deploy a VDI, you create one system, you want to create 100 systems like this. You do cloning, it clones. But in HyperFlex, we will not use the VMware specific snapshot and cloning. Rather, we will use the HyperFlex snapshot and cloning. What is the difference between these two? The difference in HyperFlex snapshot and clone is what? It is based on metadata. It is based on pointers. It is based on log file system. So it only have pointers which is copied, not the entire log, entire data. So that is the main difference when it comes to snapshot and cloning. So when you do with normal VMware cloning and HyperFlex cloning, you will find a huge difference in terms of time. 100 clones, you can do it within maybe 1 or maybe 30 seconds, for example. I'm just giving an example. The actual time may differ, but it will be really fast compared to the native VMware cloning or snapshot. Then you have something called IOSR. I told you that is the one which makes for the hypervisor, which is the ESXi, the entire hard disk as one bunch of disk. Okay, it makes as a one network file system. So you have 5 nodes. Each node has got 5 hard disks. How many? 25 hard disks. All the 25 hard disks is available for this hypervisor in one node. So when this hypervisor want to write data, this will be written across all those nodes based on what? Based on the replication factor we have used. You got it? So this IOSR is one model which makes sure the file is distributed. The VIA is the plugin which makes sure you do snapshot and cloning and HyperFlex level. And Unroll VM is the one which directly accesses the SSD. So any data it wants to go to the SSD, it has to come through hard disk, it has to come through the controller VM. This is the brine. Okay, this is the one which will be installed and integrated with the hypervisor. So this is just to see. You have VMs, you have hypervisors, you have see here SSDs and SSDs, and this HS data platform is what it's doing. It makes that all the hard disks appear as a one NFS, network file system, the hypervisor. Are you able to get it? Do you have any doubts? Because this is very important you understand this. I'll pause for a few minutes just to make sure that if you have any questions, I would like to answer. If you understand this, this is what hyperconverged. It could be Cisco, anyone. Do you have any questions?
Sir, regarding the storage, comparing to the other products, we may need more hard disk on this technology, I think, right, sir?
Yeah, that's why you have different models. See, I told you here, this is one node, it can go up to 23 hard disk terabytes.
Okay, sir.
1.2 terabytes in 23. How much it is?
Nearly it's 23, then
almost 25 terabytes.
25 terabytes.
Am I right? You can go
Yes,
up to 8 nodes in one cluster. So how much it is? Almost 200 terabytes.
200 terabytes. Yes.
All right. Then
Yes,
this is
sir.
one node, but you can have also multiple nodes. This is one cluster. Okay. So you can have cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3. So you can have multiple clusters.
Okay.
Okay. So the scalability, you can go based on your requirement, you can grow. And if you want a higher capacity, you can, add a bigger, different models in, and if you want a really highly fast, more storage, you can also go with SSDs, all flash systems. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? I want you to ask, did you understand this concept? Guys, are you able to follow?
So normally in our data center, like normal this fabric interconnect, it will segregate from the fabric interconnect, we will have a separate cable going to the Nexus switch and the MDS.
Now there is
But
no
in
MDS requirement because there is
okay,
no SAN.
yeah,
SAN is completely out. There is no SAN switch. There is no storage from EMC, NetApp, XYZ, HP. You don't require anything.
okay.
So that is built in the same UCS server, Cisco UCS server.
Like the old system, how the hard disk will be inside the server, same kind of
No.
thing.
It is not a hard disk inside a server. It will be like a arrays. You know, you have seen the storage. You will
Yeah,
have
I
in
see
the
this.
back side.
This,
You will have bay. You know, for the
yeah,
hard disk. You can insert the
that
hard disk.
yeah, just like I'm comparing like I can say like V block, like a V
Exactly.
block one rack. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay. So
Anyone else has any questions? You understood, Siraj? Did you understand? You can unmute and ask questions.
for UCS, we have UCS manager to create the service profile, everything. But
Here
for this,
we also Hyperflex software itself.
okay,
We'll show it in the lab. I'll show you. It's coming up.
okay.
Great, guys. So if you don't have any question, I assume you understood the topic. Somebody is typing. Yes, I can understand. Very good. Raj understood. Guys, others, I want to see whether you are sleeping or following me. Got it. Very good. So seems similar to it. Exactly. Nivas Ahmad got it. Samimullah understood. Why? Why is what? Yeah, sir.
Yes.
Great. Great. Fine. So let me move on to the next one. So if you want to add more compute power, what I have to do? So you can only add some UCS server separately. Okay. So you need more CPUs. Only add along with that only UCS without storage. If you are asking for more storage, this is not enough. So you add any storage capacity disk along with that. So you can also scale out compute or scale out for storage. Okay. This is to answer your question, Rafiq. If you want to add one storage, you can add along with that a high UCS server with more storage into this.
Okay.
Okay. Now let us come to that. What will happen? How the data is distributed. The HS data platform is something like, remember vSAN in VMware. Okay. The vSAN is the one which makes sure all the hard disks are available to the ESXi in VMware. Same way, here it is HX Hyperflex data platform, which is the main component. When the data comes, it stripes across all the nodes simultaneously. It writes across multiple nodes. Okay. So it's balanced space utilization. No data migration required. When you want to do, for example, one VM to VM, you don't migrate the VM's data here to another node. Why? Because already the data is available there. Am I right? You understood? So when you are doing vMotion, I'm not moving the data from one node to another node. This node is down. Don't bother because you just move the VMs, the data is available in the other node. So that is how it is written. It stripes and writes across multiple nodes. At the same time, it also replicates. Not only stripes and write across multiple. For example, if I have, let us say, 1,000 bytes, it writes here 250 bytes, 250, 250, 250. So 1,000 bytes are written in 4 nodes. I'm giving an example. And also it's replicated. This node 250 bytes, let us say A, data A, will be also copied in node B and C if you choose replication factor 3. It will be available here. So if this node goes down, the node 2 and node 3 will have the data A. So that's given here. You see here, it's all no data migration and VM migration, less stress network, balanced space utilization. High resiliency, if one of the node goes down, let us say. So what will happen? Can anyone imagine if this node goes down, No issues. The VMs will be moved and all the data are available. It automatically builds the data. It sees for 2 hours. There's a time healing factor for 2 hours. It waits within 2 hours. If the node comes down, it's fine. Otherwise, it start copying the data into other nodes. Okay, it's as a self-healing, resilient, fast recovery infrastructure. And also it is non-disruptive. Why? Because I told you the data is written A, B, C, D, but A1, see here, A2 and A3. So the same data A is written in node 2 and node 3 as well, because you have chosen replication factor 2. It's something equivalent to your pride. Are you able to follow this? Server guys, are you able to understand the right component, how it is used in this? Great. And another advantage, the biggest advantage you have is inline deduplication and compression. So the hypervisor itself, the VM controller, am I right? The controller VM itself, it does this part, which is the inline deduplication and inline compression. So sometimes you achieve 50–80% capacity saving in your hard disk. So it is built in with the system itself. So this is all about. So you have inline deduplication compression. You have node, non-disruptive operation. When the node fails, the data is available in other places. When the hard disk is failed, the data is available in the other nodes, and you can scale only compute or storage. And you have two important elements, which is the IO visor and VAI, which is used for cloning and snapshot. So these are the main components in Hyperflex. If you understand, if you understood now so far, you understood what is hyperconverged infrastructure is. Let me stop here and we'll have 2 minutes. If you have any questions, please type in, because next I'm going to say what are the new features available. We'll come for another 10–15 minutes and we'll find out. Do you have any questions so far? Any type? Or unmute and ask. Right. So let us move on now to what is new in the HS 2.0. Okay. I will not go into that. I will just cover main things. Okay. So they have all plus hyperflex. All right. So which is for if you want to have a very fast IO operation, no need to have any storage network separately. Exactly. No need for SAN switch. No need for storage NAS or FAS, file attached storage. Nothing. No need for that. So SDD, okay, not to have storage. What would be the case if you are using right now? No use, you can use it now. Right now also you can use. If you want to use, you can buy these 3 nodes and put it in the cluster and then start using. I did not understand. Maybe you can ask how to collaborate. Means you have the management. I will show you how it is managed. Okay. So this is the typical nodes. If you have a 4-node cluster, and if you are writing 70% read, 30% write, 4K bytes. Okay. In Cisco HyperFlex, you can write almost 140 VMs. If you have 4-node cluster, in the 4-node cluster, you can how many VMs you can run? 140 VMs. With very little latency, write latency. So what kind of scenario it is used? You can use for VDA, like Zen, VMware, Horizon, okay, for VDA infrastructure. Or you can use for data protection, am I right? Data center. Or you can see virtual center infrastructure. all what we are using ESXi and running blades, all those BSI infrastructure. And also you can use for database. So it comes also which option you want to choose. You can choose any one of them, then it gives you the configuration. Okay. So this is how it looks like. You have two FI, and the top you have an access switch. Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8 cluster node. Okay, 8 node cluster this is. Okay. You have 8 node in the cluster, and then you are connected with the UCS fabric integrated 6248 with all 10G uplink, and the top you are running a VPC with the Nexus 9000. So this is one bundle if you buy. And what is this? Is the design. This design is used for desktop and application visualization on Hyperflex using VMware Horizon View 7. They've used 120 users, using this infrastructure. So you can, there is a Cisco validated design for each application. They will tell you how to configure or which box to choose. You want to run Citrix and Zen Desktop 7.2, the same thing. They already tested for 120 users. So 120 user booting at the same time, it will only 2 to 5 milliseconds IO latency. And to boot all the system, it took less than 5 minutes. 1000 desktops to boot, less than 5 minutes. Okay, great performance. So NVIDIA, this is all based on the graphic user. You want a high, heavy graphics application, then also this could be used. Then you can use for SAP. These are some deployment cases. Okay, I'm not going into that. Okay, let us get into the operation, the last part. Okay, so the HX cluster will appear as one of the plugin in the vCenter. So you have already vCenter, am I right? In the vCenter, you can see here. You go to the inventory, you will find Cisco HS data platform. Click, it will show you how many nodes in the cluster. 4. Now we have 4 nodes. What is the data? How many data store you have? 9 data stores. What is the storage capacity? You have almost 8.3 terabytes and you used 149 gigabits. What is the status? What is the health? It gives the status everyone in the summary tab. Then if you go to the performance, it says how many IOPS. It's read write in the data in the IOPS. What is the throughput? What is the latency? It gives in the dashboard. And also you have admin tab, which shows how many data stores you have. For example, you can create a data store for your SAP. You can create a data store for your VDI. You can create a data store for your Oracle. And this data store resides on across all the hard disk. Okay, it is a HS data platform. And that also you can see, you can create, delete, you can add on a fly. If you find that one of the data store, you want to increase another 1 terabytes or 10 terabytes, just go and add. Okay. If you want to do snapshot, you can go and do a snapshot. And also you can do one-time snapshot or hourly snapshot. So it will do a backup. It will do a snapshot for every hour at that instance. So if there is some issues now, I can roll back to 1 hour back. And when you test snapshot, it's not going to copy the entire thing. It will only take the pointer. It's called metadata, right? That's why the space will be less and it will be very fast. Same way cloning. You want to do one, you have created one, let us say Microsoft Windows in client PC, okay, desktop. You want to have 10 clones of it. You go and say 10, number 10. Okay. Then it will have 10 desktops created as a clone inside the ESXi. So this cloning also very fast when it comes to Hyperflex. So these interfaces are used. Someone asking for the management or interface, am I right? So I said you can go to your vCenter and it will be as one of the plugin in the vCenter. Using that, you can see manage the entire node, add node, delete node, and also you can create VMs and you can create data stores, do snapshot, clone everything using vCenter. Is it clear? Is it clear for you? Okay. There is another interface Cisco is coming up, the new release, which is a web-based interface. Without vCenter, Cisco will install in the new release, I think 2.5, they will officially release that you can use directly like UCS Director, you can use the web interface to manage the entire Hyperflex. You don't have to go through VMware vSphere. You can use GUI interface from Hyperflex itself, where you can have all the data stores, servers, nodes, everything. Okay. In the future list, they are also doing replication across multiple sites, main site and disaster recovery site. Right now, it's not available in the Hyperflex, but in 2.5 release, they are doing it. Whereas in VxRail or VMware vSAN, it's already built in across two different sites. Your main data center and backup data center, you can do replication across them. Okay, but right now it's not available in Hyperflex, but it's coming in the next release. Okay, this is all about Hyperflex. I think you have understood the importance and need and how the industry is moving towards. And believe me, it is very easy. Before I was going to the training, I was thinking, it will be tough. But after I attended, I felt everything is click, right? Even to create a node, it is all 5 steps. You have to have IP address of the management, and the SAN, storage, and vMotion, and VMware. Now 4 VLANs, and one for HS, another one for ESXi. So 8. So 8 IP address per node. If you have 3 nodes, 8 into 3, 24 IP addresses. And one in management VLAN should be same, and storage should be same. That's it. And you have this information, put configure, and it comes up. And configure in the trunk and the Nexus, that's it. So it's very easy. And when you want to provision also, you go and click on using VMware vCenter plugin for Hyperflex. Inshallah, I'll try to schedule a lab, okay, and then we will have a live demo on this. I just want to inform you, there are more than 23 hyper-converged infrastructure solution available right now. So I'll send you the link, or you can see here, IT Center. The top one is right now is Nutanix, because they are very early in the market. Okay. The second one is VMware. They have introduced last year, but they took the market share because VMware everywhere. Right? vCenter is there. So just they added along with that, then all the customers are happy with vSAN, VMware vSAN. They don't have to buy Nutanix. They don't have to buy anything else. Okay. The Flex part is the one with Cisco, NetApp, and UCS and Nexus. That's the third one. SimpliVity is recently, it is a very good one. It has a hardware-based deduplication and compression. Rest of them are software-based. SimpliVity has hardware-based. Okay, but recently acquired by HP. Okay, so you will also see here somewhere Cisco, 9th. Okay, the rating is not good because they are new to the market. And you will see EMC, VxRail, and VRAC, all those stuffs. Okay. So if you want to know more about it, just go and browse through these websites and you will understand what is available in the market. That's it from my side. If you want to ask any question, feel free. I'm ready to answer. No question and answer session. Please unmute your mic and ask me the questions.
So regarding training, how much it will be? What will be the cost for the training?
See, I don't require training. See, I will, because honestly, if you know this center,
Okay.
okay, let me share with you. I'm trying to, if you have to attend, it will be, I think, costly. Now only they have kept for partner, but I don't know, maybe $2,000, $3,000 it could be. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But what I can do, I'm trying to arrange a lab. I'll send you the link. Maybe we'll create a lab, and whoever interested, we can ask them, and I can show you how it can be created, and then you can practice. I will book a lab for you. It's available in D Cloud. Then you can practice
Okay.
that. It's a simulator, but it's exactly same as what we have. So I booked for tomorrow my lab. Okay.
Okay, sir.
It's 4-hour lab.
Okay, sir.
So you can go to that, and if you go to that one, it has got all the details, how it's done, the setup, everything is given there.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I don't think you require a training. If you practice on this and then do some kind of deployment, that would be much better than going for a training.
So, in this, if the technology is going on this trend, then for
there won't be any
storage,
market for storage.
storage, as well as for SAN switches.
SAN switches, exactly. This is what is going to replace. I'm trying to, we will do a boot camp, maybe 2 days or 3 days boot camp.
Okay.
I have all the training material. Let us see
Okay,
how many
sir.
people are interested to attend. Then we will create a lab. Okay. We'll do the step by step, the complete training. All the
Okay,
10
sir.
modules are there. How to integrate with UCS Director, VMware, how to install, how to add node, how to do snapshot and cloning, disaster recovery. Everything is there with me. As a
Right now,
training.
right now, do you have any certification for this, sir? Especially
No,
for
no,
this.
there's no certification. Future they may come up.
Okay.
Guys, any other question? Only Rafiq is asking. I think everybody else is sleeping. Is it possible to send this PPT? Yes, I will send to all those who have registered for the email program. Now I will ask you a question. Okay, I will ask Naseem. I have unmuted you. So, what do you think? What you understood from the entire seminar? Can you summarize in 2 lines? Naseem?